Hi everyone, my name is Or and thank you for watching my channel. So, how much weight are you going to lose while you fast? Now I know this is one of the most important questions you might have if you're interested in healthy living or the subject of fasting itself. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the more likely outcomes and I'm going to give you a general calculation strategy for your fasting experience. First, I'd like to say that fasting is much more than just weight loss, okay? It's a total mental, physical, and emotional detox. If you're only interested in fasting to lose weight, then you probably aren't doing it right, or you have yet to understand all the other benefits of incorporating this into your life, and not just as a one-time thing. It's really important to fast safely, and that means doing it the appropriate fast length and building up your tolerance for longer and longer fasts gradually. If you're genuine in your interest to fast, then you should know that fasting is the fastest method of losing weight or burning fat known to man today. But you have to preserve this, you have to keep this in some way. When you're not eating or when you're exercising, your body must draw on its internal energy sources. In other words, your body actually breaks down fats into glycerol and it uses it as immediate energy. But when you dry fast, meaning without food or water, your body actually requires less water than before, simply because the water is actually used to clear out food leftovers and toxins. And then in the same time, it will actually encourage the body to break down more fat, which breaks down into usable water. But let's talk scientific research and some numbers before we talk about the different variables in how much weight you're going to lose. Generally speaking, to lose 1 pound or almost half a kilo, you need to reduce your caloric intake by about 3,500 calories per day. So you can do this slowly or you can do this fast, depending on which type of fast you choose. When examining the rate of weight loss, scientific research suggested that people that did intermediate fasting lost about half a pound or about a quarter of a kilo per week. But they lost even more, about 1.5 pounds or 3/4 of a kilo per week with alternate day fasting. What I'm talking about and what I'm offering is a multiple day fast, water or dry. In this, for example, if you normally eat about 2,000 calories a day and fast for about 3 days, you may lose almost 2 pounds during a regular water fast and 3 or 4 when you're doing a dry fast. But how much weight you're going to lose really depends on these following variables. And we'll dive into each one of them soon. First is how much weight you already have. The second is the type of fast that you're doing. The third is the length of fast that you choose to do. And the fourth is your clear and positive intention. Let's go over each one of them separately. How much weight you already have really depends on multiple variables. It's not logarithmic. In other words, if you see someone that's really already obese, the fact that they're going to eat more than you are used to eating doesn't mean that they're going to add the same amount of weight. In other words, the body knows how to acclimate itself. The body knows how to update its system, saying, I don't need that much more and not going to reserve much more fat. And exactly the opposite. In other words, if somebody is extra skinny, the body will actually take in more nutrients and more things it needs from the physical nourishment that it takes, because it says that the body right now needs a little bit more. In other words, the body is supposedly smart and the body knows how to adapt. Now, the more you weigh, the more you're going to lose. The less you weigh, the less you're going to lose. In other words, but there is a minimum that the body will never let you go underneath. The second is the type of fast that you choose to have. Now, of course, if you've watched some of my videos, you understand every fast is different than the previous one. Every one is more intense. So if we're doing a juice fast, we're still taking in some calories. The body is not going to go into ketosis. In other words, the body is going to use first the energy that it gets from the juice or from the little sugar that it has. After that, water. In other words, the body is not going to break as much fat into water and carbon dioxide, which it usually does when it breaks fat, than it does when you're doing a dry fast. So it really depends on those. The third is how long the fast. So again, we have the juice fast, we have the water fast, and we have the dry fast. The dry fast is the ultimate. I usually encourage a dry fast, but it's about 1 day of dry fasting is equivalent of 3 days of water fasting. So you want to suffer your way through 1 day instead of 3 days? I think it's much better, especially for beginners. How long the fast? In the beginning, your body is going to use whatever it has in its reserves. In other words, the things that you already have in the system before it goes into ketosis and before it starts eating away or creating different sugars from the different toxins that you have in the body and breaking down fat. The longer you prolong it, obviously, the more you're going to lose weight. It's not ideally logarithmic, and every individual is very different. Now, the last one is your clear and positive intention. Why am I saying this? If you're familiar with the world of manifestation, if you have successful friends, you understand that everything begins with intention. Intention is much stronger than just wanting something. Intention, it has to be clear, and you have to use your will and your focus. Now, I'm talking about positive intention because if you're coming to a fast from only a weight-losing strategy and saying to yourself, I don't look good, I have to do something about myself, instead of seeing it as I'm doing something for my health, I'm trying something new, I am going to succeed, I have a clear set goal of how many pounds or how much kilo I want to reach, that's what I'm talking about. It's an attitude change, in other words. Now, I've guided hundreds of people through a gradual week and a half fast in my retreats and have seen an incredible wide range of results. Some people hardly lose any weight depending on their focus, while others lose a ton and they don't even want to. As a rule of thumb, in a dry fast, you will even lose 1 kilo or 2 pounds a day of water and fat together. In a water-only day, you might lose up to 1 pound or half a kilo depending on your activity. The prolonger the fast, like we said, the better. Now, this has to do a lot with how we approach it and what we're hoping to achieve. People who have very badly wanted to lose weight often lose less than people who don't. This has to do more with our manifestation abilities and really what we focus on. In other words, we're afraid and then we lose more, or we're afraid and then we don't lose as much. Now, I've seen on multiple occasions that you can consciously manifest your ideal weight. It's really important to have good intentions and to come from a place of bodily love and not bodily suffering. Now, since there are multiple variables, the really best way to know is for you to go on a 24-hour dry fast and see before and after your weight. Please don't drink too much water before, because that might really impact the objective results of the test itself. And try to take about a 30-minute walk while you're doing the fast, just to get some activity going. Don't forget, this is something that is unique for yourself, but it will also teach you quite a lot about yourself from the experience of the dry fast. So, what has your experience with fasting been so far? How much weight did you lose? Please share your stories and advice, and if you have any more things that you want to add about weight loss, just leave them in the comment section below. Namaste, my friends, and I will see you in my next video.